Welcome back, everybody. Great Canadian Fight Show, episode 14. Johnny Walker and Jamal Hill just duked it out last Saturday, and we're here to talk about it. As usual, it's one half of your co-host, Alex DeSalles, reporting live from cold Calgary, Alberta, and joined by my brilliant co-host, the brilliant and wise Cal Allen, reporting live from Richmond, BC. How we doing, my man?
Change it up and say I'm doing fantastic today. Can't
Hey-o.
complain. Weather's good here. Fights are good. Fights next weekend. Fights this weekend. Fights last weekend. Fights every weekend. Can't complain.
Way to throw in the subtle jab on the weather. It's minus 28 in Alberta, folks. We're freezing out here. We're freezing. But we're gonna get right into it here. Again, lack of a not much of a marquee matchup for our fight card last weekend, but we still had some very exciting fights with some very gut-wrenching. Nope, that's not the right word for it. Heartbreaking, maybe, for Johnny Walker fans, finishes. But we're here to talk about it, starting with the main event, the aforementioned Johnny Walker, once on the rise to challenge John Jones and be the next guy in the light heavyweight division, finished in a savage fashion by Jamal Hill, who very much looks like he's well on his way. Kyle, I mean, what do you think of Jamal Hill's performance on Saturday night? I mean, he was calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, I've been watching him for a little bit, and I kind of figured this would happen. His striking is really good, and he has all of the talents to really go somewhere in this not so stacked light heavyweight division. I thought he looked great. His hands look good. He's smooth. I would say he's probably one of the best strikers in, or at least boxers in the light heavyweight division. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but yeah, he looks slick.
Yeah, him and Yuri Prochazka is. I mean, they're both outstanding strikers, no doubt. And again, it's a good call to say that division is wide open right now for the pickings. I mean, you've got an old champion who's probably set to surrender the belt after his next fight. So wide open division. But again, let's dig a little bit deeper here on the main. I mean, do you think this was more of a case of bad Johnny Walker, maybe showing signs of a deteriorated chin, or do you think Hill really has the power here?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think Johnny Walker is kind of on a downturn. I know he changed camps and he's at the camp in Ireland, that McGregor's camp. But yeah, that camp just doesn't seem like they can produce too many top fighters, which makes it all impressive that how far Connor got with that one camp. So
Yeah.
And yeah, Jamal Hill is for sure the real deal. But I think Johnny Walker is, I don't know what he can do to turn it around. He's had some ups and downs. Like he lost 2 decisions in his last 2 fights, I think it was. Then he's had like a decision win and then a TKO loss. So very inconsistent. But that's not to say that he could just turn it around and maybe go on a 2-fight win streak. But getting past these top contenders, I don't know if he can do it.
Seems like that's all it takes in this light heavyweight division to kind of get you back into it. But let's dig a little bit deeper into his last 3 fights. So again, he had a win over Ryan Spann back in September 19th of 2020, and unfortunately followed that up with back-to-back losses. A decision loss to Thiago Santos on October 2nd, 2021, and then again just recently last weekend. Any doubt in your mind that maybe this is the last we've seen of Johnny Walker?
I don't think so. I think he'll definitely get at least 1 or 2 more fights. If he loses another one in like devastating fashion like this one, then you could see him maybe joining the Bellator ranks, something like that.
Would be cool. Yeah.
But you never know. Like what's his face is doing well in Bellator. The guy he lost to recently,
Corey Anderson.
Yeah, he's doing well in Bellator. Yeah. So sometimes that's what it takes for some fighters to kind of spark something, is to go to a different organization and kind of revitalize themselves. But I don't think he's done in the UFC right yet. I think he'll definitely get 1 more fight.
Yeah, we wish nothing but the best for Johnny Walker. He's an exciting fighter, but holy shit, folks! If you haven't seen it, this is a knockout. And I mean, he hit him right here in the temple, and it's like his body just shut down, and down he went, folding like a cheap lawn chair, as they say. Man, I mean, do you think this is your KO of the year, Kyle Allen, so far?
It's a contender for sure. Like, I can't think of one other one that's been. Can you think of any other ones that have been like outstanding so
Oh,
far?
putting me on the spot. Unfortunately not, because I think a lot of the main events and big kind of fights have been decisions. There's been a lot of TKOs, I recall. So no, it's the stiff as a board first, lights out KO that we've seen this year. So to me, it's the best.
Yeah, yeah, I can't think of another right now.
Definitely a Frozen Glove nominee, or late into the month of February. I mean, hey, he might have penciled his ticket to the big ceremony, and this is an exclusive ticket, folks. Not just anybody gets invited to this thing. So
It's true.
Jamal Hill, well on his way. Let's look at his record and the standings and see if we can predict the next fight for Mr. Hill. Kyle Allen, his last 3 fights, he had a loss to Paul Craig back in June of 2021. Don't know if you remember that one. He actually broke his arm during that fight and then was finished. It says TKO, elbows and punches, but he broke his arm in that fight and was really kind of a little bit vulnerable in the end there, fighting with one arm is a nice way to say it. So very unlucky in that one. But besides that, he's been perfect in the UFC so far. He followed that up with back-to-back wins against Jimmy Crute and now Johnny Walker. Loading up the light heavyweight rankings, what do you see as the next potential opponent for Mr. Hill?
I did a little bit of research on this one already. Ahead of the game on this one.
Ooh.
One of my top fights would be Dominic Reyes. I think would be the fight to make. I think that's a really solid fight. The other fight, I know him and Ozdemir going back and forth on Twitter a bit. So Ozdemir might be another one. He's, I think, ranked 1 or 2 ahead of Jamal Hill now.
Yeah.
He's 2 ahead of Jamal Hill now. So I think those 2 fights are probably the most likely. Because I think Nikita Krylov is fighting. I think he's fighting this weekend, if I'm correct. So I think he's out of the mix.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the Ozdemir one makes sense too. I mean, he is on a losing streak as well. I personally would rather see him fight Reyes. I think that'd be a great fight for him to kind of rebound. Reyes, uncharacteristically, coming off 2 straight losses after such a great start to his career. But man, anybody who steps in the ring with Jamal Hill, they got to be ready to take a punch because holy shit, this guy's got fire in his fist, that they say.
Yeah,
rockets
for sure. No, he's definitely he's gonna be one to watch for sure. I've been watching his last couple of fights, and it's kind of why I picked him, and it's kind of why I swept the night. But
hey, you know what, folks? I was talking a lot of shit last week, and look at the shit-eating grin on my co-host's face here. He knows what's coming. I'm about to eat some humble pie. You don't get it every weekend. I would have liked to at least get one this weekend. I was hoping not to go 0 for 5 after I'm sure a lot of you just listened to me and bet the farm on all my picks. So sorry if some of you are out on the street or maybe lost your mortgage or something like that. I was feeling pretty good about him, Kyle. I mean, sometimes she goes, sometimes she doesn't, as they say in Trailer Park Boys. So, hey, I mean, it is what it is. Kyle Allen gets lucky this time around. But
I think that's 4-1. I think we're talking right now. Something like that.
It is 4-1. Okay, it's not luck, folks. I mean, he's hot right now. I mean, what can you do about it? But congratulations to Jamal Hill again, an impressive performance in a very, very dominant fashion against Johnny Walker, and we very much so look forward to seeing him next. So good on him. Let's move on to our co-main event of the evening, which took place at a catchweight. We had Kyle Daukaus versus Jamie Pickett. Kyle Daukaus coming through with the submission at 4:59 of round number 1. For all of you that aren't sure, there are 5 minutes in a round. So he finished him with 1 second left. Were you surprised by this finish? I mean, for me, it really caught me off guard. Let me get your reaction, Kyle.
I knew his grappling. I knew Kyle Daukaus' grappling was good. I didn't know it was this good. I think he's a black belt. I forget who he's under in the black belt, but he is a black belt. And he showed off his submission skills. He got the dart stroke on him near the end, and you kind of thought it was gonna go into the second round, but that last second, I guess the tight squeeze got Jamie Pickett, and he tapped with 1 second left.
It was an incredible finish. I mean, I'd love to get your opinion on this as well, because for me, what really caught my eye with Kyle Daukaus was just how composed he was.
Mhm.
Like he came out, you know, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. He came out and it was just like straight business. I mean, he didn't look like a guy who was just happy to be there. Like he looked like a guy who was very comfortable on the spotlight, knew exactly what he was going to do, and he executed his game plan to perfection. Again, he was calm, he was composed in there. He knew what his strengths were, and I was very impressed by his performance. I mean, his record is deceiving, but this guy's for real. I mean, let me get your reaction on kind of how Kyle Allen performed on Saturday night. Kyle
How I
Dawkins.
performed? I performed pretty good. Yeah, no, he's solid. Again, I've watched those last couple fights. The one versus Kevin Holland was kind of like a lucky one. He kind of got him like a flash KO with a headbutt, but he was able to get a hold of him and strangle him and take him out in that fight too. So yeah, I wasn't super surprised, but I was surprised how good his grappling is, and I think he's gonna be one to watch. I think he normally fights at middleweight. This was at catch weight, but yeah, he's gonna be one to watch in the middleweight division, I think too.
Absolutely. I mean, we look forward to seeing him in action. I mean, again, his loss against Brendan Allen has aged nicely because he's had some nice performances since. And again, like you said, an accidental clash of heads against Kevin Holland last October. But we look forward to seeing Kyle Allen in. Kyle Allen, why do I keep saying Kyle Allen? Oh my God. We look forward to seeing Kyle Dawkins back in action. Sorry, Kyle Dawkins. I know you're probably watching the show, looking to see how we react to your fight. So Kyle Dawkins, Kyle Dawkins, Kyle Dawkins, Kyle Dawkins. Let's look into some next potential opponents for our boy. I mean, you said again he fights at middleweight. I mean, I would definitely consider giving him a ranked opponent next. Kevin Holland seems like he's booked, but anybody else in that 10 to 15 range that maybe catches your eye, Kyle?
Yeah, they were originally supposed to do the Kevin Holland fight, the rematch, but that fell through somehow. I'm just looking at the middleweight division. Yeah, Kevin Holland's 14 in the middleweight division, which technically I think Kyle Dawkins should probably be at least like 15 or 13, somewhere around there. I'd like to see him versus someone a little bit higher up, maybe like Kelvin Gastelum. I think that'd be a good fight. Or even a Brad Tavares. That'd be an interesting fight. I think Nursidine Imavov, he had that solid fight recently, but I believe he might be tied up. But yeah, someone a little bit higher up like Kelvin Gastelum, that'd be a solid fight.
Would be a solid fight. Kind of a side note, you brought up Brad Tavares. I always kind of laugh at for him for some reason. Whenever I hear Brad Tavares, I mean, sure he got smoked by Stylebender, but do you remember when he tried calling out Bisping for Bisping's last fight, and Bisping just saw him backstage and was just like, "Get the fuck away from me, man." Does that ring any bells to you? Or?
Vaguely.
But hey, Brad Tavares, if you shoot for the moon and you might land amongst the stars, and he missed the moon, and well, it looks like he missed the stars as well. But still, I mean, hey, A for effort. But again, big props to Kyle Dawkins. Fantastic performance on Saturday night. Again, submission, strong grappling, and we look forward to seeing him against hopefully a ranked opponent next in the middleweight division. Any final thoughts on this one, Kyle, before we move on to the third fight on the card?
No. Well, I love cards like this that just show off some of these fighters, like Jamal Hill, Kyle Dawkins. Like these are going to be the future of these divisions, the middleweight, the light heavyweight division. So it's I know we say it a lot, but definitely tune into these fight nights, and you're going to see these guys in the future, and you're going to see them in big fights, main events, and this is where you see them first. It's kind of like when you see like your favorite artists, you kind of see them at a club first before they kind of start popping off. It's kind of like that.
Couldn't agree more, Kyle. Very, very well said. Tune into these fight nights, folks. I mean, hey, like you said, this is where you find the guys before you blew up, and you can tell all your friends, I saw him first. So we move on now to the big dogs. Parker Porter versus Alain Baudot. In a 3-round heavyweight fight in which Parker Porter win by a unanimous decision. Some people were calling robbery on this one. I'm not going to sound the alarm this week, folks. I don't agree with it. I do think I was a little bit of point fighting on Parker Porter's fight, but I did have Parker Porter winning. Again, fucking Kyle's picks. But Kyle, what'd you think of Parker Porter? I mean, do you see him as any form of a threat in the heavyweight division, or does he have a bit more to show for you, in your opinion?
I think he has a bit more show. I don't think he's quite there yet. Like he had some pretty good grappling and ground game. Like it seems like a pretty decent wrestler for the heavyweight division. Yeah, not too much to say about him. I don't think he's quite at that level yet. You definitely got to see him win a couple more bigger name fights and see how he does. But yeah, he had a good performance for sure.
Definitely not going to make the UFC all body team, but I do agree he's got great wrestling. Showed some impressive striking, landing 55% of his strikes, 82 in total compared to Baudot's 61. Baudot had the slight edge on these significant strikes, 55 to 43. But again, like you mentioned, it was Parker Porter's grappling that was the difference. He had 2 big takedowns. Again, he did what he had to do to win, but I agree with you. He's got to do a little bit more here if he's going to want to crack at one of these notable names in the heavyweight division. But do we give him a ranked opponent next? What do you think, Kyle Allen, as potential opponents for Mr. Porter?
I don't think you're going to get him a ranked opponent yet. Just seeing who's at the bottom of the. I mean, you potentially could give him someone like the 15, 14, 13, somewhere on there, like a Sergey Pavlovich or what's his name? Blagoy Ivanov. I don't know if that's correct pronunciation, but yeah,
Can
one of
you
those guys.
pronounce that one more time for the Great Canadian Fight Show fans?
We're gonna do a skip on that one. We're gonna go with Ivanov as his last name and not pronounce his first name. But yeah, the top like 12 to 15, you could potentially give him one of those guys, and that would be a stepping stone for him if he can get through one of those guys.
I totally agree. I mean, yeah, he's got to do a little bit more here. I mean, he didn't win so many fans, but hey, a win's a win in the UFC, and he came out, he did what he had to do. That's 3 straight wins now for Parker Porter after his loss to Chris Daukaus back on August 15th of 2020. Wins against Josh Parisian, Chase Sherman, Alain Baudot. Again, one more. Maybe he shows us a little bit of a finish this time around, a little bit of a finishing instinct. And I think there's a chance. This is another one of those divisions that's wide open. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. The heavyweight division isn't the most stacked division in the UFC. It's one of the, I would say it's probably the weakest division in the UFC. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but
yeah, it's probably between that and women's featherweight.
Yeah, there's literally no one in that division. So
yeah, hey,
I think it's a little bit better than that one. But yeah, basically the heavyweight division is like the top 10-ish, top 5, and that's about it. But the top 5 heavyweights are very solid. So, but yeah, this heavyweight division has some time to go. But once again, these up and coming fighters, even like a Parker Porter, you're going to see them in the future, and hopefully they can kind of fill up the heavyweight division with some solid fighters.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, he is 36 years old, so to say he's probably got one run left in him. Hey, let's see what happens. I mean, we had a 42-year-old champion, right? I mean, is that Glover Teixeira, 42? Does that sound right to you?
40 or 42, somewhere in the early 40s.
So, not saying in any way, shape, or form that Parker Porter resembles Glover Teixeira, but nothing is impossible. So we wish Parker Porter nothing but the best. Again, he gets the win against Alain Baudot via unanimous decision on Saturday night. So kudos to him, and we look forward to seeing him in the octagon very shortly. Didn't seem like he took so much damage in the fight, so hopefully he can turn it around quickly and just ride this wave he's on. But speaking of fighters, defying Father Time, Jim Miller, Kyle's pick, gets the win via second round TKO against the younger, more athletic, better looking Nicholas Motta. Man, I mean, this was awesome, Kyle. This guy's got what, close to 50 fights here on the UFC or in MMA.
Yeah, I think he has exactly 50 fights, or maybe 51. No contest.
He has exactly 50. He has 51 fights. Yeah, because
Yeah,
of one no contest, unfortunately. But 34 wins, 16 losses. He just passed, or I believe he either passed or tied Donald Cerrone for the amounts of finishes in the UFC history. I mean, man,
so
what do you
yeah,
think of old man Miller here, man? He killed it.
yeah. I've been watching Jim Miller for a long time. Like since I started watching the UFC, I remember. I'd like to think I started watching UFC around like before UFC 100. It's been a while for sure, but he was fighting back then, and he's always been like a not quite the top guy. Like he's never. I don't think he's ever contended for a title, or a title fight, but he has a submission win over the current champion. So he's been around the block, and he's always whenever he fights, I always pick him just because I've seen so many of his fights that I know he's a solid fighter, and he uh he always impresses.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his record, he very much is win two, lose one, win two, lose one, lose one, win one, lose one. So you're right, but he's a scrapper, and he looked amazing again against the younger, quicker, more athletic opponents. So I mean, he dominated him from this fight. I mean, do you think he maybe can streak together a few wins and maybe have a kind of pull a Donald Cerrone and pull a little run at the end of his career? I mean, do you think he's got it in him?
Uh, I don't know if he has a title, uh, like to go for the title in his sights, but he talked about potentially trying to fight at UFC 300, and we're at
Yeah.
UFC what 273 coming up. So that's another probably at least another year away or year and a half away, probably. So I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to fight UFC 300, and it's going to be epic. But I don't see him giving up. He doesn't seem like he wants to give up anytime soon, and he's still winning. So all the power to him.
Jim Miller, 38 years old. Unbelievable. Defying father time again, looking fantastic. Plus 155 dog. So my God, you could have made a pretty penny if you took Kyle Allen's picks for last weekend. But again, congratulations to Jim Miller. Uh, man, I mean, not much more you can say about it, folks. I mean, 38 years old. He's in there kicking ass, taking names. We love it. We're fans.
Like I was saying before, this is these old guys, man. They're taking over. It's the year of the oldies.
It's the year of the old geezer, as they say. So yeah, man, shout out to the old guys. You know, don't give up on your dream, folks. Hey, you could still make a run at the UFC in 36, 37, 38, 39. I mean, let's go, old guys. So again, congratulations to Jim Miller. We hope to see him very, very soon. And man, how amazing would that be if he could somehow be on the card for UFC 300, spanning a career through 300 UFC shows. Unbelievable, unheard of. We love to see it. So we move to the final fight on the card, which not gonna officially announce it, but a strong contender for the great Canadian fight of the night. We had the middleweights, Joaquin Buckley, Abdul Razak Al Hassan. It came down to a split decision with Joaquin Buckley winning it. I mean, man, this was a great fight. I didn't know much about Abdul Razak Al Hassan. I mean, did you have kind of the same reaction as I did to this one? Were you impressed?
Yeah, I didn't. I think I said on last episode. I haven't looked into him too much, but yeah, I was impressed. He's strong. He hits hard. He definitely hit Joaquin Buckley with a lot of big shots that
Absolutely.
could have probably put a lot of people out. And but yeah, he looked good, and it was a close fight. I still had Joaquin Buckley probably winning the first two rounds, and then Abdul winning the third round. But very competitive fight, and two interesting guys. Once again, hate to keep hammering the nail here, but watch these cards and you see these kind of guys, and these are the future of the UFC.
It's true. A lot of you remember Joaquin Buckley. He did have the knockout of the year in 2020. I mean, that outstanding kick where the guy caught his foot and he did a spinning kick, and the guy's soul left his body there for a second. I mean, this guy's the real deal. He ran into some tough opposition during COVID. I mean, wow, Joaquin Buckley. I mean, I hope this guy can turn it around real soon. I mean, he didn't seem like he took so much damage in this fight. I mean, do you think him coming back and fighting in the next couple months is a reality, Kyle? Or what's your gut instinct on when we'll see him again?
Yeah, I think I was reading some statistic earlier, and I think in like 1 year he had like 6 fights or something like that. I could be totally wrong. I could be totally off. Maybe look it up. Maybe what's
He
6
had
fights?
4 fights, and he
Four
had four
fights.
fights in 2020, 2 fights in 2021, and then of course now one this year. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
four fights in 2020.
So 6 fights within a span of 2 years, which is pretty.
Yeah.
Not too many fighters are fighting that often. So
No. I mean, hey, look, he fought in LFA in July of 2020. He turned it around 8 days later and fought his first fight in the UFC against Kevin Holland on August 8th, 2020. Unfortunately, lost that one. Then on October 11th, so less than 2 months later, turned it around again, fought in the UFC. 1 month later, fought in November. I mean, this guy's fighting 60 days apart. I mean, we love this,
yeah,
don't we, Kyle? This is
yeah,
like the Muay Thai fighters.
yeah. No, it's definitely cool to see it. Someone fighting that often. I'm all for it, but I know it's maybe not the best in the terms for fighters' health and stuff like that. But it's exciting seeing these guys coming up and just being active and wanting fights. I know we'll get into it later in the show, but Bobby Green is another one that's coming up. Oh, we got a little trespasser.
Sorry, folks. That's my cat, The Rock. I just decided he wanted to jump in front of the screen. So, way to
Sorry,
go,
we,
Rocky.
we, we
Way to
welcome we welcome any cats or dogs on the Great Canadian Fight Show, or we're pet supporters.
we are a pet friendly podcast. So, but anyways, yes. Again, Joaquin Buckley looking very good, very active, which we like to see. Again, do you think there should be kind of a minimum amount of fights that a UFC fighter has to fight every year? I mean, in your opinion, what would that minimum amount of fights be?
I like 3, like 2 at the very, very minimum. If you're a high level fighter, like a champion or like a contender, at least 2 times a year. But
Mm-hmm.
3 is like the number I like. And you see guys doing it. Usman did it, I think, last year. I think Oliveira was pretty active. I don't know how many fights he had. Or Poirier had lots of like 3 fights, I think.
Yep.
I think 3 fights is very doable for a fighter.
Totally agree. I mean, that's how you create fans, right? I mean, it's you gotta be seen. You gotta have those finishes, and that's the way to do it. I mean, I love the activity. I'm a fan. So congratulations again to Joaquin Buckley. An impressive performance via split decision against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. The very impressive Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Let's talk about him once more. I mean, again, nobody really knew who he was. A lot of people knew who Buckley were. We both chose Buckley without really batting an eyelash. But I mean, did Al Hassan show you anything that makes you optimistic for his fights in the future?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a dangerous guy in the middleweight division. Like he has lots of power. Um, there's not a ton of guys in the middleweight division right now that have like lots of power where they have potential like one punch KO power. And this guy, I know obviously he didn't show it this fight, but it definitely you can see when he throws strikes, he could potentially put someone's lights out pretty quickly.
Totally agree. And I think we did kind of see it because, again, he might not have landed the big shot, but even his kind of medium intensity shots, I mean, they hurt Buckley.
Yeah.
So very, very impressive performance by those guys. Congratulations again to Joaquin Buckley picking up the win and getting back on a winning streak in the UFC. That takes us to the most exciting segment of the show where we announce our great Canadian picks for performance of the night and for fight of the night. I'm going to let you have the first dibs here, Kyle, since you did go 5 for 5 last weekend. Who were your picks? Who were your great Canadian picks this week?
For fight of the night, I'm gonna go with the obvious one, Joaquin Buckley and Al Hassan. I think that was definitely the most competitive fight of the night and probably the most entertaining fight of the night. So that's gonna be my pick for that one. And then for performance of the night, this is where it gets tough because there was a few of them.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go with Jim Miller. I think just doing it at that age, TKOing a up and coming potential or really good fighter in the lightweight division. Yeah, he's my performance of the night pick.
Excellent. Well, those are great picks. I'm gonna agree with you for the great Canadian fight of the night. I mean, you got to go with Joaquin Buckley, Abdul Razak Al Hassan finishes in a split decision. I mean, there is an argument for both. I also had Joaquin Buckley winning it, but that was a great fight. I'm torn for performance of the night between Jamal Hill and Kyle Dawkins, but I will give it to Jamal Hill. I mean, man, he went out and just dominated Johnny Walker and finished and starched him with a beautiful KO. So I'm giving the great Canadian pick for fight of the night to Jamal Hill. I mean, very, very, very excited to see him next against the top candidate and see kind of what he can handle at the top of that division. So that puts a bow, folks, on the UFC fight night, Walker versus Hill. An underrated card. Highly recommend that you watch it for brilliant finishes, outstanding submissions, and a very, very competitive opening fight. Kyle, any last thoughts on this fight card before we quickly preview next week's fight card?
Nope. Once again, I'm going to keep pushing it. I'm going to keep telling the fans, watch these fights, watch these fight nights, watch the prelims. You're going to see these guys in a couple of years fighting for the titles. And it's always the best when you see, in my opinion, it's the best when you see a fighter rise, like a Conor McGregor, a John Jones. Like those are the memories I remember watching these fighters, is their come up fights and how they got to the belt. And this is where you see it. This is where you see the magic happen. And yeah, tune into these fights.
To quote Ricky from Trailer Park Boys, a toe-to-so, boys. Effing a toe-to-so. Don't let us say a toe-to-so. We move on to next week's card, which, you know, it's bittersweet to say because this could have been a banger. Makhachev again scheduled to take on Beneil Dariush in an arguably a number one contenders fight for the lightweight title. However, unfortunately, Beneil Dariush was injured in training. They couldn't find anybody else. So our boy, Bobby Green, steps up to take on Khabib 2.0, Islam Makhachev in the main event. I mean, again, Islam is a huge favorite in this one. Not huge, actually, plus 280 in Vegas odds, but man, I mean, you just never know, Kyle. You just never know. Mr. Green, does he give you any hope that maybe he can shock the world?
He gives me hope, just seeing how good his last fight was. I mean, it's not like a crazy amount of hope, but there's a shot. He's got a shot. But it's a tough one. He's fighting such a monster. And yeah, I really want to pick Bobby Green in this one, just because I love the story. If he comes in there and he can somehow like KO Makhachev, it would be the story to hear. But no, he's definitely got a shot for sure. Maybe you might get a fight. This is very reminiscent of Khabib and Ally Quinta stepping in on short notice, and that was probably Khabib's toughest fight in the UFC.
Interestingly enough, actually, folks, as I look at this fight on the UFC website, they have Islam Makhachev as a plus 280 underdog with Bobby Green as a minus 365 favorite. I think the reason is because it's happening at a catchweight bout. Again, I'm slightly misinformed with this. Like, is Bobby Green maybe coming in a little bit heavier, and maybe is that why they're making him a favorite? Like, doesn't seem to make much sense to me. I mean, if you want to make some money, pick Islam Makhachev at plus 280.
That does seem a little bit weird. Maybe they just messed it up. That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense at all. Somebody's getting canned here. Come on, UFC, figure it out. But Kyle, what do you think, Bobby? What do you think Bobby Green? What do you think Bobby Green has to do on Saturday night to pick up the win against such a monster, like you said?
I think the only way he's winning this is if he can KO or TKO Makhachev early on. I think the deeper this fight goes, the tougher it's going to get for him. Yeah. Unless he can really stuff his takedowns and keep the fight standing a long time, which isn't very likely. But I think he's got a good shot in the first 1 to 2 rounds to try to put him out.
Totally agree. I mean, hey, he's got the power. He looked very good against Rafael Fiziev, his striking. Great fight last time against Nasrat. Man, I mean, but props to him for stepping up, and props to Islam Makhachev for keeping the fight and keeping this fight card alive. We already had a main event bail from this past weekend's card, so props to both those guys for continuing ahead and giving the fans a show. I mean, it's going to be a good fight.
And he's got nothing to lose either. If you go into this fight, you have nothing to lose. Why not just try to swing for the fences and try to take his head off? If he loses, whatever, he lost on a 1 week notice fight, and if he wins, it's he's going sailing
to the moon, as they say. Do you think Islam Makhachev gets a title shot if he wins this fight?
Everyone's saying that he should get a title shot for this. I don't think so. I don't think he should. It's kind of like how Khabib won the what was it? Was it like an interim belt or something like that he won for beating Ali Quinta, which is kind of meh. But I don't think he should get a title shot. I think Kyle
taking a shot at the Khabib army here on the show. We're gonna get a lot of angry fans. Hey, he said that, not me. I thought that win was legit, Khabib. If you're watching, I thought that win was legit. I mean, raging Ali Quinta. I mean, I can't think of anybody else that is more deserving of a title than Ali Quinta. So,
yeah, I really want to see that Dariush fight. I hope if he does make quick work of Bobby Green, I hope they rebook that fight like summer, and then make that as like a number 1 contender fight.
I'd love to see it too. I mean, fingers crossed again that Dariush can make a quick recovery, and fingers crossed that Islam doesn't get a bit greedy after this fight if he gets through Bobby Green and he doesn't demand, if not a shot at Oliveira, but definitely the 1 or 2 guys that are in that picture, maybe Gaethje or something he calls out if Gaethje, assuming Gaethje loses against Oliveira. But great fight again next weekend. We're not going to make our picks just yet because we're going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top. Here are our picks, folks, for next weekend's fights. Makhachev versus Green happening on February 26th. Starting with the opener, Arman Petrosyan versus Gregory Rodriguez in a middleweight bout. Kyle Allen, I'll let you get first pick, and then I will get first pick of the next fight.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know both of these guys, so I'm curious. Once again, the reason why we watch some of these fights that we don't even know every single fighter. There's so many fighters on the UFC roster that we have to get through. So I'm definitely gonna be tuning into these guys and seeing who stands out. But just off a whim, I'm gonna go with Gregory Rodriguez on this one. But I'm definitely gonna tune into this one and see how it goes and see how these guys do.
Well, I've done a little bit of homework myself, and and I've seen that Gregory Rodriguez seems to be a little bit reckless. He likes to stand in the pocket. He likes to bang. So I can see him getting caught early by Arman Petrosyan. So I'm going to take Arman Petrosyan winning via second round TKO. I just think he gets the better of Rodriguez, the bigger, stronger fighter, but reckless. So I'm going to go with Petrosyan winning. Now I get the pick of the second fight on the card, lightweight bout, Arman Tsarukyan going against Joel Alvarez. Again, Tsarukyan minus 320 favorite. He is the number 13 guy. But I'm going to go with the dog on this one, folks. I'm going to go with Joel Alvarez. Just got a feeling that Arman Tsarukyan just is not quite there yet, and it does not get through the up-and-coming Joel Alvarez. So I'm going to go with Joel Alvarez via unanimous decision.
I'm going to counter you on this one, and I'm going to go with Armin Sarukian. I think I watched his last fight. If you can refresh my memory, who his last fight was against. I don't have it here.
His last fight, I got it right here. His last fight was against Giagos on September 18th of 2021. He won via first round KO. Before that, he beat Frivola on January 23rd, 2021, again via decision. He's riding a 3-fight win streak right now.
Yeah, I think being on the 3-fight win streak, I think he'll be able to do enough to. But I think Joel Alvarez is really good. I liked his last fight. But I think he's gonna get this one on him. I think it's gonna be by a decision though.
Okay, Kyle takes Sarukian. I take Joel Alvarez. Kyle, we got a women's flyweight bout. Ji Young Kim versus Priscilla Cachoeira. You get the first pick on this one, my friend.
I don't know too much about Priscilla Cachoeira, but I have seen Ji Young Kim fight, and she is pretty good. I like a lot of these upcoming. I think she's Chinese, right? South Korea.
Yes.
No, she's Korean.
She's Korean. Sorry about that, folks.
But I like these. I like all these Asian fighters coming up. There's more and more of them, which I love. I love seeing all these fighters come out of different parts of the world. There's not a ton of good Korean, or not a ton of Korean fighters. Obviously, the Korean Zombie is probably the main one. So I definitely like seeing these fighters coming out of different areas of the world. So I'm going to go with Ji Young Kim for this one.
I mean, I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards Ji Young Kim as well. Fire Fist, they call her. Again, she's looked well in her last few fights. She seems to have the striking advantage over Cachoeira. I mean, this is very much a pick-em to me, but I'm gonna go with Kim to pick up the win on this one. So I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Again, Ji Young Kim to win, and I do believe it will be a decision. So we move on now. The co-main event of the evening: Misha Cirkunov versus Wellington Thurman in a middleweight bout. Looks like a pick-em, Kyle. I get the first pick. I'm going to go with Misha Cirkunov to win this one. Again, I don't know much about Wellington Thurman, so I will be tuning into this fight to see kind of how he performs and if he proves me wrong. But Cirkunov does look like the safe bet, and I'm going to take it. So Cirkunov, I'm taking, and I'm going to say again, decision.
I think here too. It's hard to go against. I know Misha Cirkunov, he's fighting for Canada, so it's very hard for me to choose against him. I don't know enough about. It's hard. I want to go against you so bad on this one, but I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to pick the same as you. I'm going to go with Misha Cirkunov.
Excellent. Okay, so we both take that. Now we go to the main, and I think there will be some conflict here. No, I'm kidding. Islam Makhachev again versus Bobby Green in a catchweight bout. You get the first call here, Kyle. Difficult decisions ahead. Do you go with your heart or do you go with your gut?
Oh man, I really want to pick Bobby Green in this one, but you're definitely going not like, if you're going percentage, it's definitely like not. And I would think it's like 90% Makhachev, 10% Bobby Green.
Give the people what they want, Kyle. Come on.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick Bobby Green on this one. He's our boy. I want to see the upset. I want to see it happen. I hope it happens. We'll see what happens.
I'm going with Makhachev because, God damn it, I need to make up some points on our scoreboard. So I'm happy I baited Kyle into taking Bobby Green in front of our millions and millions of fans. But I'm going with a safe bet again. I mean, you said 90%. I think it's closer to like 96%, 95%.
There's 4%.
I
There's
mean,
4% hope.
this is this is a horrible matchup for Bobby Green. I mean, props to him again for taking the fight. We love him on the show. I'm a huge Bobby Green fan. I mean, he's really burst onto the scenes in the last 2-3 months, and he's definitely earned some respect here, and he's earned some fans. So I think win or lose, you can't penalize this guy for this weekend. I mean, he stepped up, like you said. It's if you lose on a 1 week's notice to arguably the number one contender, and if you win, I mean, your stock is. I mean, we got another GameStop here, folks. I mean, he's going. So he takes Bobby Green. I take Islam Makhachev. Such a pussy move by your co-host, but hey, I mean, desperate times calls for desperate measures. But that puts a bow on this episode, folks. Again, we're happy to review the Walker versus Hill fight with you guys. Again, if you like our content, please like and subscribe, but leave a comment if you have any critiques or if there's anything that you wish that we could maybe change or modify to the show. Again, we're a growing podcast, and we love to hear your comments and fan engagement. Kyle Allen, any final messages before we put a bow on episode 14?
No. Again, this is another fight night coming up, so tune into this one. Watch things up and coming fighters, like I said, and you might be surprised.
We're also going to touch on Bellator next weekend. We're not going to make our picks for that one, but we will do a review. Gegard Mousasi, excited to see him back in action.
For sure.
Thank you very much, folks. As usual, Kyle, it's been a pleasure talking fights with you, my friend. And everybody else listening, we thank you for tuning in. Great Canadian Fight Show. Thank you very much. Signing off.
Like and subscribe. See you guys later.
See you later, folks. Thanks.